Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today we're going to take a quick look at the Alien vs Predator United States Colonial Marine officer from Prodos Games. Now, I've done footage on the Alien vs Predator game in the past, and it's not the best game in the world. It's very clunky, and it feels quite old school, quite old-fashioned in a lot of ways. But when the second edition of the game came out, it had these beautiful Unicast miniatures, which they're fantastic, and the game's okay, but I'm a big fan of the franchise. Well, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Alien vs Predator franchise, but I'm a big fan of Aliens, and I'm a big fan of Predator, and I'm a big fan of Colonial Marines. So yeah. I've been buying the models, and recently Prodos Games released the USCM officer in Unicast, and I don't currently have an officer character for my Marines. In fact, I've only got the 5 Marines that came in the base game. So I thought it was a good idea to get some extra muscle for them, and there's a quick look at the miniature on the back of the box, and I have to admit, I was mildly concerned. It's a good-looking miniature, but I was mildly concerned that the aesthetic of it seems very different to the miniatures from the base game. The miniatures from the base game. This is a Marine from the base game. Beautiful single-piece miniature. Really, really fine detail, and relatively sort of, good human proportions, and a sort of very realistic looking style. And then this guy came out. We'll do a proper comparison side by side eventually, and you can see it looks like he's got his hands are bigger than his head, and he's got huge, great big muscles, and it looks a little bit more Games Workshop, shall we say. Games Workshop have a certain sort of larger than life style, and this model appears to have that, but we shall see. Either way, I mean, it's a nice looking miniature, and I needed the extra muscle for my Marines because I've got some extra alien warriors now, and I've got a Pred alien. My wife has bought me some extra miniatures, which I'm not allowed till my birthday. Boo! But once I get those, then I think the aliens will have even more soldiers to play with. So I was in need of something to bulk out the ranks of my Marines, and this guy is it. Here he is. No packaging or anything. Single piece miniature on a humongous base. And some cards. We'll have a look at the cards in a moment. Let's get this dude out and have a proper look at him. Oh, there's a blip. A humongous blip. I don't really understand the blips in this game. I mean, they're different sizes, so you can get a rough idea what it is. So I mean, if you've got a squad of 5 Marines and then you've got this humongous Marine token, as it stands at the moment, I think this is the only Marine piece that's on this size of blip. I mean, maybe the power loader is or something. I don't have a power loader, but either way, you're going to know it's something a little bit more special than a regular grunt Marine, which kind of feels like it's doing away with the point of the blip tokens. I mean, in Space Hulk, all the blips were the same size, and it might be 1 gene stealer, it might be 3 gene stealers, or it might be your worst nightmare about to happen. So yeah, I'm not sure the blip tokens are well defined or treated the right way in this game. Particularly the Predators also get like mimic tokens, where you have more tokens on the board than you actually have miniatures, but they're like decoys, but the rules don't let them do things like open doors and things like that, so it seems very immediately apparent which ones are the decoys. I need to come up with some kind of special rule that allows you to swap out a miniature for a decoy or something. I need to do something with those to make them a little bit more useful as a piece of artwork again. Yeah, that he has a very it's almost cartoonish compared to the aesthetic of the base game Marines, and indeed the Whaling Yutani Commandos. So anyway, He's on a massive base. Let's get right up close and see what we can do. So first of all, let's get some focus. Really, really nice detail again. Really, really lovely detail. He has a cigar in his mouth. Games Workshop, take note, you do not need to make a separate cigar piece to put onto a miniature. You can actually mould the cigar in the miniature's mouth. Sorry, Necromunda pet peeve creeping in. One of the Goliath miniatures in the new Necromunda Underhive game has a separate cigar, which is about that big, and you're supposed to attach it to the model's face. It's ridiculous. He's got a shotty on the back. Got a pistol down here. Sorry, this camera seems to be having trouble focusing on this model today. So, but he's fully kitted out. He's got all the tools, and a humongous gun with a magazine that's actually bigger than his head. His arms are wider than his head. He's just a big beefy dude. Again, this is a Unicast piece, so it's a single piece model, and the detail for it is incredible. And if we look at the base, it's pretty funny because he's blown down this door and there is a predator underneath. You can see there's the predator with the claw hand, and there's the other predator hand, and its head is somewhere under this pillar, one would imagine. So yeah, bad time for the predator, and that's a really funny base. It's really amusing. And I guess they wanted it, even though he's a regular sized marine, or he's not. He's bigger, but although he's sort of supposed to be human scale, they wanted him on a bigger base for rules purposes, to represent his imposing nature, and putting a lot of scenic stuff on there, like a crushed predator. Sorry, is a really clever way of sort of making the base feel, making it so you can have a bigger base without it just feeling like a lot of floating space. It's really cool. The detailing is absolutely incredible. Bear in mind, this is a single piece model. This cast in one go, with the undercutting and everything. That is just so good. Let's compare him to his little marine friend. Holy moly! It's not as bad as I first thought. I mean, he's quite clearly a big dude. Yeah, it's not too. I mean, his features. I mean, this guy has more realistic features, I would say. This chap has a much more cartoony aesthetic to him, and he does. He is bigger. He's larger than life. I mean, it's important to note that he's up on a thing which is giving him extra height, and this guy is crouching a little bit, but he's definitely a big man. Put him up there, about there. That's about. They're actually okay. They're not too bad. There's something slightly off about the proportions, but the size isn't too bad, and that's not going to look out of place side by side on the table, I don't think. I think the fact he's on a weenie base and he's on this massive, great big 40mm base makes him look so much huger than this one, even though it's not. I mean, the thing to note is things like the gun. I mean, his gun is absolutely huge, and the hands, his hands, are much bigger than the other guys. So yeah, I mean, there is. I would say the scale is ever so slightly off, but it's not off in the way that the first edition multi-part miniatures were compared to the second edition Unicast miniatures, which where the scale was ridiculously off. It was completely different. These will look fine side by side. I do wish they'd gone for a slightly more realistic look. I mean, this miniature is beautiful. I think it's just a really fantastic, realistic looking Marine. And this guy's a bit more of a Saturday morning cartoon hero. But look, you can't have everything, and it is really nicely detailed. There we go. Let's have a quick look at his cards. Just because. So these are the cards for playing the Hunt Begins board game. You can also use this guy in the... where's the bag? You can also use this guy in the tabletop miniatures game. And he is an officer. So we've got Marine Captain and... yeah, cool. So what they've done, Marine Major, Marine Colonel, Marine Captain. So they've given you 3 options for using him. Obviously with increasing statistics and an increasing cost in your army building. Heavy pulse rifle and shotgun. And a composite machete. He's a big... what's the difference then between these guys? I am not seeing a difference between the Major and... Is there going to be special abilities on the back? I'm going to have to look into this. There must be a difference between them. It's probably going to be in the rule book. Yeah, I don't see... oh, right, okay, wounds. 3, 4, 5, okay, I'm blind. So, yeah, there are a few differences. There's 15 drops to 11, there's 15, 12, and 15, 13. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it is, there is a minor difference. He is marginally better in a few statistics going up. But on the whole, most of it is the same. It's a difference of value in wounds, mainly. So, well, there we go. So you get 3 options for adding to your army for your board game or your tabletop miniatures game. And a really nice miniature. I believe... oh, I want to say he was £12. He might have been 15. Let's say 15... or 12 or 15. I probably should have checked that before I filmed. Which isn't a bad price for a hero level character, especially one that sort of can fill 3 roles in a force, depending on what you want them to do. Hopefully they'll have some more different characters. I mean, it'd be nice to have like a specific Marine Colonel model, a specific Marine Captain model, so that you can mix it up. I mean, I wouldn't want 3 of these guys on the table because they all look exactly the same. And yeah, so I like the model. I'm not really in love with it. I'm in awe of the detail that they've achieved with a single piece, a single casting, without the need for assembly. So I think that's very impressive. But I just think that some of the proportions are thrown out a little bit, and that makes it look almost like it's coming from a slightly different universe. Once upon a time, there was going to be a cartoon of the Aliens franchise, and I have the board game based on the cartoon that never happened because someone somewhere suddenly realised what a stupid idea it was to make a kids' cartoon about the Aliens franchise. But I have the board game and there's some of the cartoon art on it, and this guy looks like he would fit in with that cartoon universe, that cartoon aesthetic, more so than the very realistically proportioned and very gritty, realistic Alien vs Predator: The Hunt Begins box set and the Unleashed miniatures game. So yeah, it was good but not great, and looking forward to see what else they can do with the Unicast stuff. There's some more Marine things that would be nice to have. I wonder if they're going to do a Unicast power loader. I would definitely want one of those. But anyway, I've talked far too long about a single miniature, and I have no idea whether anybody finds that remotely interesting. So for now, I'm going to sign off. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.